General, you then at paragraph 47 sort of sum up your sense of where your responsibility stopped. Can you explain this to the Commission?
As a divisional commissioner, I always respect the mandate of the PC, and sometimes I see it as we need each other to be able to function optimally. So when General Mkhwanazi distances himself from the Dockets, and the National Commissioner says detectives deal with it, that signal to me that I don't want to get myself involved. As I said, General Sibiya, in my message, I'm here to work and not to get myself involved in any issues that affect policy. So for me, after those calls and talking to General Sibiya, honestly, I said, I'm done. And for me, commissioners would talk to my role, because I did my part. I spoke to General Mkhwanazi, he refused. What more can I do?
And then, General, at the middle point of that paragraph, you say there that it was General Sibiya's instructions, follow-up and inquiries to both yourself and General Khumalo that caused the dockets to be removed. Do you care to explain this?
If there was no instruction from General Sibiya, and commissioners, I'm saying this again, having a blindfold of what took place in January with the National Commissioner, the discussions, mine was just to do what was written by General Sibiya and General Khumalo's letter. So if he didn't write those two letters, those dockets would not have come to head office. Or actually, for me, there would not have been an implementation. Maybe it would have been different of the ministers as he directed. So for me, the dockets being here was as a result of his instructions.
Thank you, General. And then at paragraph 48, you speak about a letter that you then received from General Sibiya. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. The dockets were handed over on the 28th of March 2025. And we tried to hand them over, then we hit a wall, there was stagnation, and on the 24th of April, whilst doing my day-to-day administration, then my office gives me a letter signed by the DNC dated 22nd April 2024. It's a new letter over and above the one of the 2nd. And in this letter, he indicated that in complying with that directive of the minister and subsequent directions, which means the one that he gave me in General Khumalo. Now, I must also hasten to mention, Commissioner, that this letter was written to both myself and General Khumalo, not only to me. It was one letter. And he said we must conclude this handover process by the 24th of April. And he specified amongst the actions that this included transfer of all dockets, closed, currently under investigation, and court-going dockets to the Division Detective and Forensic Services.
General, in this letter and these instructions, wouldn't that be against the plan to be asking for all dockets, including those that were court-going?
Probably that's the reason why there was no action on the letter, because in my assessment, he was now overreaching. Remember, there were his instructions, then the matters got a ventilation, or we did ventilate them at the ministers' meetings. And there were agreements, and there was that in-principle approval. Now, outside of those, now he's asking for all dockets. Now I'm thinking, but all dockets under investigation already have been transferred, so which ones are these? It was confusing, and probably unwittingly, Khumalo and I never really took the letter seriously, and we never engaged on it.
And then, General, you to talk about or make an observation regarding General Mutsipe's testimony about a meeting that transpired on the 19th of May? At paragraph 50, do you want to explain
Yes.
this to the commissioners?
Okay.
Before you do that, General, on that, just a follow-up on this last question about this instruction, which you
Yes.
say is overreaching. In fact, it seems to me that even the closure date,
Yes.
because the letter says, and the letter, is it the same letter at page 13, I think, it says you must give a final feedback report
By the 25th
on the
of April.
25th of April 25, when your plan at page 10 says you will submit quarterly reports, and it has the first date as the 4th of July 2025 and continuously. So it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that with this instruction to you, General Sibiya is actually fixing his own timelines now, contrary to the plan that you say was adopted in principle in the presence of the minister.
I think the commissioner is correct, which is also why we find it odd. I mean, I found it odd that, and also probably the tone when I read it, it was more like, do it, because you're writing on the 25th, and you want all of these things by the 25th, no, 22nd, and you want all of these things by the 25th. So it didn't also make operational sense. So it went to that immediate, approach to getting things done. And again, as I said, we were actually focused on the plan. So on the plan, there was no action that spoke to what he was instructing.
And before this letter, did he at any point explain to you why the agency now, contrary to what the plan is saying? Did he have any conversation with you?
No conversation, and probably as we were talking, again, there was no follow-up on this letter, unlike the first one. Because on the first one, there were inquiries, there were reminders. But on this one, even though there was no compliance to it, there was no push to say, I gave you an instruction, General Kumar, General Senthumule, how far are you?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would this instruction increase the number to over 300 now? Because I'm looking at the second unnumbered paragraph 2, the paragraph just after the numbered paragraph 2. It says all dockets closed, currently under investigation and in court. I'm assuming that once you add closed dockets, you go over 300 now, based
Actually,
on where PKTT
it's 600 because it meant the entire workload of the PKTT, and including the dockets that we said must go back to the stations for filing or archiving.
General, in your statement, you then talk about General Mutsipe's testimony as it related to a meeting that would have taken place on the 19th of May. Can you take us through that?
The only thing I have to respond on here is that on Mondays, as sub-senior management, that would be the National Commissioner, the DNCs, Divisional Commissioners and Provincial Commissioners, we have got what we call high-density meetings. Those meetings are never postponed unless probably it's matters beyond our control as an organization. And after that meeting, on the 18th, there was a meeting with General Nkua where we discussed the Forensic Science Laboratory. There was an intention for the ministers both of Public Works and the SAPS to ensure that we kickstart the relocation and functionality of the Forensic Science Laboratory in KwaZulu-Natal. So I think when there was no joy from both ministers, we were all told to travel to KwaZulu-Natal on that Monday of the 19th. And we traveled with the police jet with the National Commission. So there was no way that I could have been in a meeting with both General Sibiya and General Mutsipe to discuss the dockets on that day. I've attached my itineraries as well as my accommodation receipt just to show that actually I was not in Gauteng on that day. Let me say I was traveling to KwaZulu-Natal on that day.
Was General Sibiya part of your traveling party?
According to the itinerary, he was there, but he was not in KwaZulu-Natal.
And so, General, your testimony is that you were then not involved in the meeting that took place on the 19th of May where the way forward on the
No.
dockets was discussed.
No.
General, then we can move to paragraph 51. And you state there that at no stage were the dockets kept with you or stored in your office or any of that. Can you explain the chain of custody there and where the dockets were housed?
Okay. I think in one of the testimonies, also by General Sibiya as well, that there was where it was said that the dockets were kept with the divisional commissioner. And I also wish to put it on record here that at no stage were those dockets in my office. Brigadier Khopoditata and the team took them to head office, and they would have been under the command of General Motsepe, which is Serious and Violent Crimes, since they were removed from General Khumalo's custody. And maybe if I can go further, just to add value or maybe credence to what I'm saying, General Motsepe informed me that when the evidence leaders were, and because she was reported directly to General Sibiya on the docket, so they asked her, why, where was General Senthumule? She correctly said, I was traveling. I think between April and July, it is the season of the AGM of the police commissioners. As I said, one of my roles is to be the chairperson of the permanent committee, subcommittee for the police chiefs, as well as leading your crime investigation division. So between April and July, annually, we are actually engaged in those activities. So the bulk of the time, I was traveling. The last meeting I attended was in July, what the ministers' meeting is called the MCO, where we now had to present all our plans, police, defense, health, and all the other subcommittees to the ministers for approval.
And then, General, you say you wanted to clarify another issue in relation to General Motsepe's testimony, and this is towards the end of paragraph 51, regarding the instructions given to Brigadier Khopoditata.
Yeah. Maybe respectfully, commissioners, I think any leader or commander would actually be at fault if the reason you move a docket is for auditing. We did auditing. Those are done at a station. You don't take a docket from its original place of investigation to wherever to audit. If it does happen, you take a copy, but not the docket. So those dockets didn't come to head office for auditing. It was specifically for a handover. And no instruction was ever given to Brigadier Khopoditata in that regard. The only instruction was just for safekeeping and safeguarding of those dockets. Thank you, Commissioner.
Then I think it gets more complicated then because we engaged General Motsepe on why the dockets were brought to head office. And she categorically said that it was for purposes of auditing, in so many words. I say it gets more complicated because then I'm lost as to why
the dockets were here.
Why they were brought to head office. Because if you say it was for purposes of a handover to what end?
Can I clarify,
Yes.
Commissioner? And I think it's also in line with what is written and what Khumalo and I had to do. And I must also hasten to mention that General Motsepe was not part of the processes from the beginning up until General Mkhwanazi was engaged. So I really, on authority, cannot respond as to why she would make that either statement or assumption. As we said, General Khumalo on the 28th, I think there was 27th, there were emotions in the meeting, and we then said, let's conclude the process. So the dockets were literally here to be moved from the team to be taken back to KwaZulu-Natal. And you would then ask again, but why couldn't you do it in KwaZulu-Natal?
That was exactly my next
Yes,
question, because it sounds to me as though it would have been a handover for handover's sake. It just didn't make sense, because from your testimony, the dockets are at head office, and they immediately had to be
Taken
back in
back to
KZN by April. So why on earth did they have to come to head office? I just do not understand. It's not your problem.
No, I understand,
You did not
Commissioners.
disband the PKTT. You did not say that the dockets must come to head office. But I'm just trying to understand what was going on here.
No.
And General Mutsipe gave a reason. Of course, we engaged her quite seriously on that, and we told her that the reason she gave did not make sense. Now, on your evidence, we discount that as the reason. So it's handing over, and it appears for handing over's sake. And that's why I'm trying to understand what the rational basis for all of this could have been.
Thank you, Chair. I suppose that doesn't require my response. It sounds more rhetoric. Thank you.
Well, General, we do know that the dockets were inspected.
Yes.
The language used is auditing. That's what
Yes,
Major
Mutsipe
General
calls.
Mutsipe uses, auditing. We do know that they were inspected. And perhaps that was the real reason they came up here. Because as the chairperson says, that firstly, you say we don't do audits. That's your evidence. We don't do audits at head office. Audits are done.
We do it at the station.
At stations. So that could not have been the reason that it is done. They came up to be handed over so that they go back, as the chairperson says. It just doesn't make sense. But the fact we know from the evidence, including of Major General Mutsipe, is they were inspected. So perhaps that was a real reason that they were brought up here, to inspect them, to see what is inside those dockets, because we know that's the only thing that happened.
And Chairperson, is this the point where I actually exercise plausible deniability? Because it's on a lighter note, Commissioner.
We know you were not there. I'm just putting to you what the evidence is, that as we theorize about why the dockets would have been moved up and down in a way that doesn't seem to make sense. What we do know, though, is they were inspected. Someone was instructed to look into what's in those dockets. And perhaps that's the real reason they came up here.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Following up on Commissioner Baloy's point, I suppose it was not a question because you did not respond. Are you aware that following the audit, I don't want to use open quote, close quote like chair, but you get my point. There was then a proposal, a financial proposal, prepared by General Mutsipe. And as I understood that proposal, the dockets were now going to be reallocated, no longer go back to KZN, but reallocated to various detectives in Gauteng. And I even quizzed there, I remember, about somebody who's in stock theft and how that person can possibly investigate political killings in KwaZulu-Natal. Are you aware of that plan, first of all, that proposal?
I was aware. If I can take you back again, General Sibiya did say when I spoke to him about NATCOM's response, and General Mkhona just responded to say that they will have a team at head office. And I think that came also with asking for financial authority for a team to be assembled. So I am aware. So probably General Mutsipe was now, what can you call it, implementing that General Sibiya's proposal.
And was your approval sought in relation to that proposal?
As I said, when National Commissioner wrote his comments, he sent that letter back to me.
Yes.
I think it happened when I was in Tanzania, Dar es Salaam. So I was not party to any either discussion or signature to that too.
In the normal course, would you have had to approve it
Yes,
before it's
I would have had to recommend, not approve it.
Yes.
Yes.
And you did not recommend it?
It didn't come to me.
Thank
It didn't come to me. Thank you, Commissioner.
General, and had it come to you?
Can I be protected, Commissioners? Thank you.
Thank you, General. Then at paragraph 52, you speak about a meeting, a minister's meeting that was called. Can you explain the events around that meeting?
Yeah. In responding to this, Commissioners, I want to take you back to the meeting of the 28th when the minister said he will no longer engage with us on the PKTT disbandment matter. He will only talk to the National Commissioner directly. But on the 23rd of June 2025, General Sibiya sent me a WhatsApp message, I'm not sure if I did send, where the minister had called a meeting and National Commissioner extended the invite of that meeting to General Sibiya and General Khumalo, to the both of them. General Sibiya called me and asked that I assist, actually that I join him in that meeting. And I remember saying to him, I think it's even on WhatsApp, to say that, but the meeting was only extended and limited to you and General Khumalo. He then asked me to come and assist them with writing a report in terms of the process and where we were. When I got to his office, General Mutsipe was there assisting him with writing the report. Unfortunately, we had a sub-SPACSA progress report meeting to the Minister at Crime Intelligence on that day. So I did say that I wouldn't be able to sit with them. And I had to sit in a meeting with BACSA colleagues to prepare a report for the Minister for that evening. Thank you.
General, just for completeness.
Part of your last sentence in paragraph 52, you say, I had no interest in getting involved in any further interaction with the Dockets, especially after my discussion with Lieutenant General Mkwanazi and the National Commissioner. Why was this so?
I don't think there's anything wrong with being honest when you want to refuse to associate yourself with something that you learned later that actually it's not according to process. If the National Commissioner is distancing himself from it, I felt that actually I don't want to be part of it. So all these meetings and my schedule actually provided a platform for me really to focus my energies where it mattered on policing matters.
General, just for completeness, were you aware or made aware of the inspection report that Colonel Mdluli authored?
I only heard about it when General Sibiya spoke about it in the ad hoc committee.
And were you aware of the inspection report that General Mutsipe did on the basis of General Mdluli's report?
Okay. I need to explain this using the police process or the police protocols. Normally, when a report is written for approval, it's written in an information note by the author. It's quality assured or controlled by the supervisor, and it goes through all. For example, if it's Colonel Mdluli who's the author, Brigadier Khopodi Tata would be the recommender, General Motsepe, it will be myself, and the DNC will be the approver. So I cannot speak on authority on something that didn't go through the process and that I have not physically seen.
Thank you,
Commissioner.
And then does this mean you also have no knowledge of the leakage of that report?
I'm not even sure what that leakage is. I think when we were consulting, you spoke about it. I'm not sure if, is it like the detective's report with all the signatures or just a document that was leaked?
General Motsepe's evidence was that it was a report. It was just a report. It didn't have any signature. She hadn't signed it.
No, then I'm not aware.
It was presented in the meeting of the 19th of May, well, in her testimony to you and General Sibiya.
Unfortunately, I cannot comment on that because I was not there, and secondly, I've never seen the report.
Thank you, General. And then now we'll move to a new topic, and that relates to General Sibiya's attitude towards disbandment. You, at paragraph 52 of your statement, you talk about General Sibiya's attitude, and
Are you referring to paragraph 53? You said 52.
my apologies, Chair, 53, indeed. You speak there that General Sibiya was adamant about the PKTT's dockets being removed from the PKTT. Can you talk about that, and in particular, the preoccupation you mentioned in that paragraph?
I must have a disclaimer first, Commissioners, that I'm writing this in view of the knowledge I had after the 6th of July. So my assessment and also what I observed come from what happened, then the push, and then what General Mkhwanazi revealed. General Sibiya was adamant that actual General Khumalo shouldn't be heading the PKTT. It's a detective matter, which I differ because it's a combat matter, and therefore the dockets must come to me. He was adamant through inquiries, through like asking to say how far are we, but further, he was preoccupied with the notion that General Khumalo and crime intelligence were investigating him, and I remember him saying in Zulu, I think I do have a message to this effect where he said CI is investigating him, and I'm not sure whether this is correct, Commissioners. I'm a Christian, and I'm not perfect, But if somebody is facing a situation, my first response would be scripture. So I would be responding to much motivating, because at the time I didn't know, to say no, but be strong, this will come to pass,
General, before you
Okay.
move, I think I understand what Bayangi Gijimisa. Oh, but
Yeah.
for the rest of us, can you explain what that means?
Can I start with a joke, Commissioner? So Abafana Baka Khumalo also include Commissioner Khumalo. No, it basically means that General Khumalo's people are chasing me.
Thank you, General. And then just to demonstrate this point, can you please turn to HKS6, which is at page 21 of the annexures? And can you take the commissioners through that exchange?
Okay. In support of my assessment, Commissioner, I actually go back to a clip that General Sibiya sent me of General Mkhwanazi, where he said that Khumalo is assisted by the PKTT to investigate me. And I think he sent it to me in the evening. So I said, good evening, General. I can't open the clip. Can you please send? And then I asked, Gauteng CI you mean? Because he just said Gauteng. So Gauteng for me, I'm thinking General Khumalo wouldn't be responsible for Gauteng investigations, and I'm thinking it could then be Gauteng CI.
And then his response on the following page?
Yeah, no, he says then both Gauteng CI and Khumalo, but they can only help themselves. They clearly don't know me. And I proceed to say, good morning, my DNC. It's not a great feeling to be chased for no reason. I've been there, I know. God again, we pray a God who says he will fight our battles. Vengeance is his, says the Lord. Then he responds by saying, the problem arises when you get chased by small people.
Thank you, General. And reading that, or in that moment, what was your feelings or understanding of this interaction or what he was raising?
Maybe before that, that page 21, the first exchange from him. I don't know if its context is what is contained in that clip. We don't have a context of why he would have said that.
So which one?
At page 21, he says, so Gauteng is assisted by the PKTT to investigate me. And then you say Gauteng CI, or you mean general, but then we don't know what precedes.
Yes, there's nothing.
These exchanges.
This is the first message. So he sent me a video of General Mkhwanazi and then a message underneath.
What, is there anything in the video clip that
I couldn't open it.
That makes that statement make sense?
Unfortunately, as you can read the next one, it says I can't open. I think I tried to double click.
Yeah.
And I had to get clarity. What are you talking about? Are you talking about crime intelligence in Gauteng or just Gauteng? Because there are two Kumalos.
Yeah.
There's Kumalo CI, there's Kumalo detectives.
Okay.
Yes.
So does that mean you never got to know
What's in the video?
What's in the video, but
No.
also what he's talking about when he says Gauteng CI and Kumalo are chasing him by Mgijimisa. You never got to know what he's referring to.
If the commissioner reads, it says so. Remember, he's been saying that Umbulazi Mgijimisa. So for me, this was nothing new. So whatever was on the video was supporting his notion that Kumalo was investigating him.
So in his saying to you that Kumalo is chasing him, in him saying that
Yes.
to you, he had never said to you why he says so. He's never said to you this and that has happened. He's never given you that kind of background to those statements.
I'm prompted to move to the other paragraph where I actually say that General Sibiya was prone to cast suspicion around those of us who were working closely with him. So I've been in a position where he said I was investigating him. Actually, where there was a case registered in IPID, and there were people who came into my office, like I was busy with the president. I think we were launching the lab in Eastern Cape. There was a raid in my office in Arcadia by IPID and Hawks when he said I was surveilling him. And that was not there. So for me, when he says these things about Kumalo, I think I've got that notion that General always does this, you know. So I don't think I had to ask Guti, why are you saying it? Because I've been on the receiving end of that.
So the short answer is you don't know.
No,
why
I
he
don't
was
know.
saying that.
I don't know.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. He never expanded to me. Thank you, Commissioner.
General, in your response to Commissioner Baloyi, you touched on the investigation then into you after he was suspicious of you. Is there anything you'd like to add in explaining what happened there?
There's a member within my division in forensic services who was a critical witness in a corruption matter by AXA. And that member had his wife and kids' photos taken. Apparently he got shocked and then he collapsed. He was taken to hospital. When in hospital, there were pictures of him taken in hospital. So probably they were saying, we know where you are. You know. So there was a complaint that came through the initial commissioner, and General Masemula said, I need to provide protection for that member. So in the execution of that, I don't know where the issue was, but apparently he said to National Commissioner that I actually had hired people officially under official guise to surveil him. And National Commissioner didn't know because, he didn't know that it's this issue, Fast forward, I engaged National Commissioner. I hear there's this thing because people talk and everybody looks at you with suspicious eyes. And I must say it's painful. Hence, I understood what he was saying when he said they were investigating him. So NATCOM said to me, but engage Sibiya if this is the issue. So when I engaged him, he said to me, no, General, if there's nothing wrong, don't worry, they won't find anything. So you can imagine every day having to wake up and there's an investigation that you don't even know anything about, And I think the worst part was when my office was traumatized. I think my PA, who was the main suspect, because they said she was the one who was making this guy sign overtime and for kilometers. So her laptop and iPad were taken. And I must also say that these were subsequently returned to my office because nothing could be found, So for me, when this thing of him saying he was being investigated or Kumal was investigating him, it made me go back to what I experienced.
You still at paragraph 54?
Commissioner, I was going to move so you can ask your question.
Yes. And the Hawks and iPad, what were they looking for? And did you ever get to know who are these people in terms of their names?
I actually never got to know. I think the person with more information would be my staff officer. And I was actually shocked to learn that even the Hogs were there. Because I asked myself, why? And apparently they came with cars and they were dressed in the overalls. And I thank God I was not there. I think I would have been really, really affected. But I never got to know for a reason that I believe that whatever they were trying to do, I knew I'm fine. I think that was my posture to say, I don't have to go search who are what are they looking for. If it's an investigation, let it go ahead. I respected that.
You suggest in the paragraph that General Sibiya had something to do with IPID and Hawks officers being there with whatever they were doing.
I said there was a case registered, so I suppose that's why IPID, I'm not sure why the Hawks were there, but as I say, my PA would be in a better place because actually she was in the office, I was in the Eastern Cape.
And why do you say, or do you think that General Sibiya would have had anything to do with all of this?
Because he was the one who had the case registered against my PA.
So he's the one
that had the case registered.
Oh, I see.
Yes, he's the one who actually went to IP to open a case on this matter.
And the Hawks, and to the Hawks.
I'm not sure why the Hawks were there.
Okay, I suppose he will tell us maybe.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
And General, you covered the events of February and the text exchange there when you were asked to deal with that matter. So we'll just move on to the next topic.
Nothing. Sure, I would do honestly.